And we are live. I'm going to be confirming it on other windows, but I think we're in business. And let's see here. Seems we need some support in the Roll20 chat. I'm on it. Can we actually hear audio? It seems like we can see the stream, though. Everything is working, is what I hear from Baskin. I feel so happy to hear that from you that I feel like giving you the trophy right now. And Bahasa, welcome, friend. Glad you can hear me. Amazed you're not already tired of my voice. But here we are, the participants in the Circus Maximus, which I'm hoping will be an expansion for the Mouth of Mentius. My wife, the author of the Mouth of Mentius, is certainly pushing for that. She is a chariot racing fanatic and is the one that came up with this idea. I'm so glad to see that people have actually created images for their tokens and placed the tokens on the actual map. This is thrilling stuff, folks. The way this is going to work is that for the first 10 minutes or so, I'm going to just ramble. I'm going to look at the chat. I'm going to see your comments. I'm going to respond to your questions. And after those 10 minutes, everybody will have shown up and we're going to get those chariots rolling. The way we're going to do that, very simple rule system. It's going to be rolls of a D20 to see how far your chariot has progressed. There's a great deal of variance in that. But the reason why we did that is because this is going to go for 6 laps and 2 rounds per lap. I'm going to say that again because Doug G just showed up. Doug G, great to see you, by the way. Phenomenal to see you. Long-term supporter. The way this is going to work is we're going to roll a D20 for each of the rounds that go within a lap. There are 2 rounds per lap. So we're going to basically be doing 12 rolls. And then I'm going to be tallying these on a spreadsheet that you may see in a second as I switch to another window. Because I'm not sure what Chrome screen this is actually going to be broadcasting. Is it going to broadcast the new one? No, it's not. Okay, see, nobody gets to see my swanky Mentius branded spreadsheet of how you progress. You're not missing much, folks. I'm opening it right now. So what we're going to use the spreadsheet for is to record the position of your chariots. If you feel inspired to drop a role play post in the chat, much like Maskin did earlier, well, I'm not going to stop you. I love that kind of stuff. I will probably read the details live in this very dramatic tone. I don't know if I'll do the woot. I'm not much of a woot guy, but I will definitely give you a dramatic reading of your post. Another thing you can do during the rounds as we calculate scores is AMA. Ask me anything. I got the author standing right here. She's actually sitting. She's giggling in the background at what I'm saying. So I could ask her if I don't know the answer. But chances are pretty good I know the answer. I edited the Mouth of Mentius. The Mouth of Mentius, you talk about a chariot race. This thing was a sprint, folks. I hear from the wife around Thanksgiving that she wants to turn all of her passion for ancient Roman myth and culture and sporting into a mashup with the Edgar Rice Burroughs Barsoom books and then translate that into a 4-layer dungeon for my favorite rule system, Dungeon Crawl Classics. And then we said, hey, let's bring some D&D 5e folks on board. They love heroic stories. Going to be a different kind of story. Bahasa, you're going to be involved in the playtest. Bahasa, can you give me a response in the chat here just so I know that I'm not just yelling into the void right now? I'm going to keep my eye on the chat to see if there's any activity there. In Roll20, by the way, the Roll20 chat. Anyway, Bahasa is going to be involved in the playtest of this. And the playtest, specifically the DCC version, which is much more gruesome than the other version. The D&D 5e version, we want to bring higher to mid-level D&D 5e narratives to the market because we feel that this is an area that is underserved. Thank you for your typing. I see it happen right here. And Mouth of Mentius was ideal for that in the sense that my wife had a vision in mind of having interactions and conflicts with a lot of the more powerful figures in Greco-Roman mythology, plus an adult red dragon, because you need it. But as Bahasa just said in the chat, DCC is all about lethality. So a lot of the mechanics that she and I worked into this thing play on the DCC critical tables, magic items that allow you to use different critical tables, alterations of those critical tables, so that all caps lethal action can really be enjoyed to the fullest. We want to get that sort of gladiator match feel to when you're going through Mentius and fighting people with laser swords and fighting 12-foot bugs and fighting the Chimera and battling with Medusa and so forth. All right, so here we are, 6 minutes in. I'll touch briefly on what inspired the OSE version. The OSE version was inspired by somebody who I know joined this Roll20, but I haven't seen him join yet into the actual game, and that is Bear Fryman of Bear Claw Chronicles. Bear was basically saying, look, OSE does beautiful things when it comes to treasure and having treasure represented in experience points and having encounters not necessarily be defined by the pulse-pounding ultraviolence of DCC, but rather by cunning, where you circumvent a lot of the more difficult opponents in the interest of acquiring XP through acquiring treasure. My wife loves jewelry. I'm sure it comes as a shock to none who know her. My point to this being that it gave us an opportunity to put a lot of treasure items into this that weren't necessarily magic items, but were distinctive Greco-Roman treasures that would translate into XP for the OSE crowd. And also, another interesting thing is Mentius is a very diverse location in terms of the style of its levels. It's not just like Stone Hallways level 1, Stone Hallways part 2 level 2. It is number 1, a ruin, layer 2, sort of preserved city, layer 3 submerged, and layer 4 a volcanic underworld with environmental conditions on all those points. But for those OSE fans out there, you know that when you accumulate enough experience, you're able to create a stronghold. You're able to take your environment and make your own nation out of it. And so that is something that we really involved in the OSE version of this. All right, so we are 3 minutes away from when I'd really like to start kicking up the sand in the Circus Maximus. I have my spreadsheet open. And once again, I'll sort of repeat the rules for the folks out there. We're going to be doing this in 12 rolls of a D20. I feel just the same as you, Maskin. I have about 30 ounces of iced coffee in me. I can only get so excited before it's time to call the paramedics. No, I'm doing fine. I'm in this for the long haul. We're all going to survive this, and we're going to see who wins this trophy. And 3 signed copies of the Mouth of Mentius. No Etruscan property. We're already pottery. Excuse me. No Etruscan pottery is the first question asked me. You know what? Maybe in a stretch goal. Honestly, my wife is more fond of the Julio-Claudian era of Rome. Somewhat late Republic. Little bit the Flavians. So we tend to not dip so deep into the deep track that is Etruscan pottery. But who knows? You know, maybe we'll do something Etruscan. We'll get some, goodness gracious. I feel like giving a bonus. Oh, I was going to say, I feel like giving a bonus to anybody who can remember the name that the Etruscans called all of their kings. And then it just popped into my head. Tarquin. One of these days, somebody needs to bring a player character named Tarquin back into circulation. Underused name. You don't see many Tarquins these days. Okay, so we're at 10 minutes. We're 1 minute away, Mask, and I think that we can make it. The repeat of the rules. It's going to be 12 rolls of a D20. They represent 2 rounds of 6 laps. So basically, first roll, you're halfway around the track. Second roll, you've done a full lap, and we're going to do 6 laps. And we're going to do it pretty much every 5 minutes. I will drop in the chat what round and what lap it is, and we're going to be tallying it on the spreadsheet. So, in essence, when I say go, we're going to all roll our D20s for the laps, and then the one who has the total at the end, they get the trophy. They get the signed copies. All right, let's see here. Indeed, I see a name change soon too. All right, we're going to start in a minute. And again, repeating the rules, I'm going to say, in fact, I'll type it right now, round 1, lap 1. And then everybody roll your D20s. You may as well do it now. We have hit 10:11. We're an hour out from 11:11. Drop your D20 rolls in there, and let's do this thing. All right, Gaius, raring or go. Okay, so Gaius, Maskin, Doug, Bahasa, perfect. Bahasa and Maskin neck and neck. I'm going to see if anybody else rolls. We have 1C9I, which seems like either a Ukrainian bot or somebody who is in coder or somebody who is using a secret message. So yes, okay, boss indeed, out of the gate, right into Maskin. All right, I see you, 1C. Let's get your roll on here, my friend. And the way to do it, and for those of us who are perhaps novice to Roll20, is you do a /R or /roll, a space, and then 1d20. And that's going to help you roll. So I'm throwing that out there on the off chance that 1C9I, you're not quite conversant in. Aha! There we go. 3. All right, and as I say, there are going to be 12 rolls involved in this. There are going to be 2 rounds for 6 laps, and so even those of us who rolled 4s or 3s, I believe you were real, but that's just what an AI bot would say, right? Okay, so I promised a dramatic reading. I'm going to deliver. Bahasa comes out of the gate and immediately slams his chariot into Maskin. Maskin, sprinting is lost on my kind. It's long distance. I excel at you. Wait and see your train will tire out before mine. Slow and steady, baby. With a thumb sideways to the crowd. Now we got 3 more minutes into mediocrities. Oh, Doug, you threw me right off my script. Yeah, mediocrities is a pretty darn good name. The wind against his face gives some relief from the hot sun beating down on the riders. Guys, you can deliver that kind of prose because you are in the lead. You are feeling the sun in your face, the wind in your hair. You got those well-oiled chariot wheels rolling along. You can roll to 17, buddy. You're a distant memory to Mr. 1C9I. No offense, 1C9I. You keep in this. Okay, we are approaching the second roll. We're going to do it at 10:16 after the hour. One thing I would use these remaining few seconds to say is, again, if you want to drop a roleplay post, great. If you want to banter and make me laugh with names like Mediocrities, excellent. But also feel free to ask me anything, because I and Gina are right here to answer any questions that you have about the mouth of Mentius, its creation, its future, its exhilarating present. Ah, your friend Diogenes. My friend as well. Got me through some tough times. Good old Diogenes. All right, we have sipped our water. No water for the chariot racers. Only glory will slake your thirst. And here we go. It's 10:15. It's time for copy-paste. Round 2, lap 1. Roll them bones. We want to know more about the author. What would you like to know about the author? I know plenty. And to the extent that she knows thyself or herself, I'm sure she would divulge as well. Do you have any? Damn, Maskin. Back with a vengeance. Boss as well. See, things are starting to even out. Ah, Doug, you cursed yourself with that name, my friend. Huzzah indeed for Maskin as he really picks it up. Again, neck and neck with Bahasa. Bahasa's beating you by a hair, by a nose, as they say. I see. Still in this. All right. Also with a high roll. And we'll see how Gaius does. Because right now, Gaius senses something strange in his chariot. Has someone tampered with it before the game? We'll only know when we get your roll, Gaius. Your roll might... Oh, wait, shit. No, we got your roll. I'm sorry. Can I curse on YouTube? Probably for the remainder of this year, but then they'll fix that. I'll get an AI to shut me down every time I drop a 4-letter word. Okay. Bahasa shoves Maskin, but unfortunately pushes him forward. And the gods punish mediocrity for his hubris. I tell you, man, getting punished for hubris is something I am no stranger to. I feel like hubris is a common color in my life. Okay, so with the remaining seconds, we got everybody's rolls. So Bahasa asks Gina, do you drink tea? And if so, which type do you prefer?
I don't drink tea.
Her answer is, I don't drink tea, which is exactly what I would say. Gina does not drink tea. Gina drinks. Gina, what do you drink? Poppy is what Gina drinks. Soda is back, is Gina's recent slogan. She drinks pro/prebiotic sodas because she, like the true American girl that she is a fan of Coke and Pepsi, and therefore has decided, you know what, let's take a healthier route. Let's get something that tastes very similar, has a similar caffeine punch, but is better for the system. Maskin looks at the chariot next to him. What are you laughing at? Is something wrong with the name Biggest Dickus? As a Gwar fan, there's nothing wrong with that name. And I do know, I know it's from something else. It's not from Gwar, but many great Roman names are. Now, Bahasa, again, we're coming up on the next roll. The next roll is going to be in 2 minutes at 10 a.m. or 10:20 a.m. Jesus, we're not traveling so fast. We're going into the past. This is not a DeLorean race. It is a chariot race. Bahasa, you say, speaking of hubris, would you write an adventure for hubris? I think we would both write an adventure for hubris. Gina is less acquainted with hubris than I. I've had excited expressions about hubris and the system hubris to her, but I think that her familiarities, she says no. She does not remember hubris. I assure you, my wife does not remember hubris. She has no knowledge thereof. Okay. Yes, Monty Python, thank you. No, Life of Brian, also thank you. Yes, looking on the bright side of life. That's what I remember for Life of Brian. It's been too long. I should rewatch that. So Gaius, back of the action. Gaius cries out to Soul, don't forget me. I am your loyal servant. Luna, don't forget your servant. Will the celestial bodies heed your cry, Gaius? We'll find out in a minute as we're about to hit the second lap. I will say there is a chariot in our good friend, the Mouth of Mentius, and Gina, who's a fan of Helios. Won't get into that necessarily unless you ask. Also put some sun or soul related artifacts in there. And so, as Maskin hits that speed bump, or hopes that the servant hits his speed bump, we are now going to drop round 1 of lap 2 as Bahasa cries out, Jupiter, hear my prayer and smite the Philistine Maskin and shine upon me. We'll see how Jupiter heeds your cry, Bahasa. Will it be divine favor or disapproval? If you know, you know. I think you all know. I think you're all DCCs. Gee, many Christmas did Jupiter ever heed your cry. Wow. Funny story about Jupiter, which I'll drop into this momentarily. I'm still on tenterhooks as Maskin is typing because I want to see if Jupiter heeds him. Jupiter not so much on Maskin's side. Doug, working out the kinks, tossing off the rust on those wheels. Let's see how I1C 9I does. Gaius. No, Bahasa. I never do doubt a halfling. Halfling's ridiculously underrated. And Gaius, I should say, solid performance with a 14. One of my favorite numbers numerologically. My very favorite number numerologically coming from 1C9I because my wife is no stranger to the number 11. She is an 1111 baby. And so that is why, little behind the scenes trivia here, we launch our projects at 1111. Oh, Maskin, if I could only sing that. So, Maskin, funny story about that, since we are all coming into line. We're sort of evening out the chariot race. I think Bahasa in the lead right now. O Fortuna is like the one song I've downloaded to my phone. And of course, it's not the whole thing. It's just like the very beginning of Carl's symphony. And so whenever I connect my Bluetooth on my car to my phone, O Fortuna immediately plays. And it usually plays, because I listen to the phone at a very high level, at like 50 decibels. And so it just blasts like, O Fortuna. And I just like, oh man, it's rarely the right mood. I'm usually like driving to get in and out or anything. But so O Fortuna is not really the proper soundtrack. All right. Mediocrities. I love that vision, Doug, of mediocrities holding the reins, white-knuckled, weeping as he drags his chariot along the track. Yeah, I adore that track too. Interestingly, I'm probably going to use it in the video for the other project we have coming up, the one that I have in April, the mega dungeon known as Descent of the Ancient Fane, because that is very much about fortune and how it grinds you down and lifts you up and then grinds you back down again. So I think O Fortuna, rather than the usual dulcet tracks of Tyler Stroud, we'll be doing the soundtrack for that promo video. Okay, Gaius, you are at a 34. Maskin, you're at a 32. Mediocrities at a 19. 1C9I at a 30. And then Bahasa, drumroll please, around 40. Okay, so really we're looking at a spread of mediocrities down at sub 20 with a 19 up to 40. Most of the competitors within the 32 to 40 space. Exciting stuff. And here we are. We're at 10:24 a.m. I say we do this. Welcome, driver. I'll use the remaining seconds to say welcome to the Circus Maximus. Take a seat on the stand. You can sit close to the action. Don't have to go up into the top of the stands with the nosebleed seats with the slaves. Get a good view, because it is time for, drum roll please, round 2, lap 2. Everybody give your rolls. And just think, we're right now at a third of this thing. So it's still anybody's game. I will not have you counting out mediocrities with his modest 19. I jinxed you, Doug. I do that. There's a player, Bahasa knows him. His name is Doyle. Doyle doesn't roll so hot. He has a strained relationship with Roll20. And I often say, you could do it this time, Doyle. I'm like his, fanboy. And he always blows it. I'm like, you're going to rock the house, Doyle. pour everything into your spell burn, and you're going to get a 17, and the result's going to be a 31. And he'll pour like 14 points into spell burn and get like a 16. So, yeah, you got Jinx too. Doug, I have that ability. And Maskin comments as he races around the tracks, the fates are fickle with our emotions. That's the only law of nature. Well, Diogenes would agree with you on that. Bahasa points out that in all fairness to Doyle, he does indeed come through when the chips are down. And one of my favorite characters that he ever played was a wizard. And whenever that wizard would cast Magic Missile, not whenever, but almost ever, I would say 95% of the time, it would be some remarkable result. It would either be a misfire that actually worked out super great, or a 30, 20, high 20 kind of result. And it would just torch the opposition. That was his character, Hornblower. Oh my God. Aleme Odorunt. Now we're just stressing my ability to pronounce things, but I'll try it again. Aleme Odorunt, folks. I took French when I was in middle school. Funny story, though, about why I took French. One of the reasons I took French was because Albert Camus had written a play about Caligula, and I, at the age of 13 or 14, was already a big Little Boots fan. And so I was like, sure, je parle français, and I took it to read that. But I made a lot of irrational decisions back then. Not like now. All right, Driver. Well, Driver, I'll put you in this. I think you're playing from behind, my friend, but I will definitely drop you in this one. Okay. Now I have everybody's roll, and we're approaching 10:30, and 10:30 will be round 1 of lap 3. Right now, in terms of describing the action, Gaius grips hard against the reins, drives his horses on faster, wheels screaming on their axles. Guys, I believe, much like Bahas's invocation of Jupiter, that your dramatic portrayal will play a pivotal role in your result. But then again, we go back to me saying that I am often a victim of hubris. So I could just be like really high on my opinion of this entire thing and the value of role play. And the fates, as Maskin points out, could prove me wrong. Alia iacta est. I think I came close on that one. We will see. Yes, you spelled it like my favorite Axl Rose, who, again, fun trivia and a little wink at how old I am. I got to see on the Monsters of Rock tour. Yeah, all right. Maybe if they ever interview me for a DCC Road Judge Roadworthy blog post, I'll slide that one in there. For now, some more dramatic action because Bahasa wipes the sweat from his brow. He squints as the sun tries to penetrate him, and in a loud voice he cries out, "Victory Preda!" Let's go ahead and on that thrilling note, do round 1, lap 3. We're a little early, but it'll give us some time to sort of settle into round 2, lap 3. And y'all can give me other questions that you might have. Gaius, my friend. Typing too fast, driving too slow. At least in that round. Maskin gets an 8. Maskin's still in this, maintaining a steady average. The eco speed of the chariot, as my hybrid would tell me. You're in eco mood. Can we tell you how to roll better? That is an excellent question. I would say that with Roll20, it's almost like create another account, right? Because I truly feel, and I go back to the example of Doyle, who allegedly rolls well in person, but is just not on speaking terms with Roll20. It seems like it's just stuck on a certain set of numbers. But I don't know. I don't know how to roll better. I wish I did. 1C9I with a 3, and then Doug with a 10, and the driver rolling out onto the field with their 3 and then their 8 this round. And so I'm going to do a quick score recap. Guys, you're at a solid 50. Maskin, you too, believe it or not, solid 50. We're talking no's and no's. Doug, not to be counted out, but up from that 19, now at a 37, so 13 behind them. But we've heard 50, we've heard 50, we've heard 37, and Bahasa, you're at a 69. I'm sure somebody will comment on that number in the chat. And then we have 1C9I with a 41 and Driver with 11. Okay, so the next roll is going to be at 10:35 Pacific. And I'm going to take time to first read Maskin's description. Maskin starts shedding clothing and jewelry and throwing it behind him as he goes into a ditch, trying to save weight and get as fast as possible. Oh my, it's a brisk morning, eh, boys? Definitely getting the Life of Brian vibe from this. I should do that in a British accent, but they're terrible. Let me see if I can. Am I? It's a brisk morning, eh, boys? All right. There we go. Considering this will be 73 rooms, what is your next project? Well, I will actually, since you said author, go back to Gina on that one. Gina, you've done a 73-room dungeon as your first project. You yesterday got a copy of A Bestiary of Children's Nightmares, and you liked how cute and small it was. And I pointed out that your first project was not small. Cute, perhaps, not small. What is your next project?
Mentius 2.
Mentius 2 is the working title. Any details on Mentius 2?
No.
No is the answer there. No, that's not exactly true. So she may be playing close to the vest, but what we were talking about last night is possibly going into the underworld. So to put a finer point on that, we were watching a show. We were watching Chaos, and we were watching some more stuff on Greek myths. There's a great series on Amazon that a French producer put out, which is partially animated and partially involves images from classic and modern art about the Greco-Roman myths. And we're really thinking about the potential, and again, go back to like what would serve both of the systems of higher level play, because there are so few high level DCC adventures, and there are so few, to be entirely honest, with the exception of like Eve of Ruin, new D&D 5e adventures that are high level. And so that seems to be an area where going into the underworld and questing to achieve the impossible, as they say Orpheus did, would be like a really cool kind of theme. But to Gina's point about no, it's really early days on that. I will say one last thing before we start rolling them bones and I get back to dramatic readings, is that chariot racing, gladiator racing, and the Greek/Roman gods as patrons. So Greco-Roman gods as patrons both for D&D warlocks and DCC arcane spellcasters was something that we've heard a demand from the audience for and discussed. So that's it. And let's see here. Gaius. Yes. Gaius pees in the chariot in an effort to save weight and get faster. Will it work? I love that you interrogated your own action there. It's a bold strategy, Cotton says. And Balassa says, take my coins already and take me across the river Styx. Oh, indeed. I intend to do both of those things. And I hope that you perhaps will take some folks around the river Styx, because I think that the rollout will be slower and we'll probably want to release this level by level, which we playtest. And you are our number one playtester now. Now, back to the play itself. It is 10:35 a.m. Pacific time. which means that we are now round 1, lap 3. No, we're on round 2, lap 3. Close. Shit. I knew I was going to do that. I just knew it as the fingers were flying. I'm going to hide that. I'm going to retype. Round 2, lap 3. And everybody's already rolling. Mastic at an 8. Bahasa at a 4. Driver, you know, I am so glad that you're in this, and I'm so glad that you're rolling well. And Mediocrities, who has changed his name officially, I like it, Doug. You're at a 16. And Gaius is calling, Luna, why have you forsaken me? Quite. What? I don't. Maybe it's because you're being on the chariot. I don't know. But you said it was a bold move. Apparently, the moon goddess was not fond of your flow, of your golden flow. Yes, Bahasa starts to slip, thinking about the sticks. Had a 19-point lead, and now it is merely 7. Mediocrities shaking off the doom of his name, speeding faster. And 1C9I, very much the dark horse in this chariot race. Now up to 55. Damn those random rolls. We're halfway in. And so randomness is beginning to rear its head. And the results are starting to even out. And now, let's see here. We have about half an hour left to go. We're perfectly on time. I will use this opportunity, not that I won't answer questions and read things dramatically as promised, to say that my favorite thing about the Mouth of Mentius is the degree of sophistication and creativity that Gina put into it. Because we actually were using a mechanic that's in a really cool blog post called 2-Week Mega Dungeon to provide a framework on how to create it. Now, we didn't do this thing in 2 weeks, but we did use the framework. And basically, it boils down to you create a dungeon outline, meaning the actual map, and then you start placing factions in it. And Gina had already had a sense of the factions that she wanted to place. They rolled right off the tongue. There's the alien faction, which is called the Unseen Web. They're Iranians, as she called them, which is basically half mantis, half spider person. There's Sidonia's Sidereal Sailors, and they're a group of spell-jamming sorcerers. And then there's the Greco-Roman gods. But when I basically said, okay, here's your framework, go and do, the degree to which she drew on her pop culture love, her love of Greco-Roman history, and also various experiences throughout her life was really remarkable. Like this, she just poured this thing out. I was concerned, admittedly, about the deadline, but she absolutely nailed it and created this amazing degree of depth. And Excelsior-ish indeed. Excelsior-ish indeed. Did we lose somebody? Let's see here. Now I'm looking at we got everybody. Got everybody in here. I'm going to look at the clock here. We are 1 minute away. 1 minute away from the next round. So I'm going to drop that round title in there. It's going to be round 1 of lap 4. But I am going to wait until my good friend under the moniker of Mediocrities finishes what he's typing. And I'm going to, as I wait, say, in a show of defiance and an attempt to lose weight. And I would say a nod to a new scatological theme that Gaius has introduced. Bahasa flatulates, hoping it wafts over Mediocrities and Driver. It reminds me, again, we go back to Guar and great Latin names, of Flatus Maximus, their bassist, I think he was. He was either bassist or rhythm guitar. He was excellent. Crop dusted. Oof. And here we go. It is now 10:40 a.m., And we are on round 1 of lap 4. Everybody get your rolls in. Yeah, Bahasa, I'm telling you, the gods like reverence. And I have a funny story about this. The gods like reverence. They don't like your Mel Brooks humor. They say, keep it in your pants, buddy. This is a high-class affair. Chariot racing is serious shit. All right, driver. I see. Mediocrities. With more Latin. See? You dropped that Latin there, man. I don't know if you got it from Google Translate or from your own larder, but it was impressive. And guys still lingering in the single digits. Masking. Crying over the 2. Nobody's rolled a 1 since Doug's second round when he cursed himself with his name. But now he's owning that name, and he's surging ahead, his chariot blasting through the miasma of competitive flatulence. So, interesting fact there about chariot races, flatulence, piety. I was watching a program recently. Actually, we were watching a program by Mary Beard. She has so many YouTube videos, and she's a Roman historian, ancient Roman historian. I mean, she's not ancient Rome, but she studies ancient Rome and knows a lot about the mundane details of life in the various phases of the Roman nation. And she was noting that all evidence suggests that whereas chariot racing was quite rowdy, and I always think of the Nike revolt in the Byzantium Empire when it comes to the rowdiness, the hooliganism of chariot racing, the gladiator matches were apparently kind of somber affairs. Everybody wore togas, which is basically the equivalent of wearing, a suit to go to like the symphony or something. They would wear their toga, they would wear their formal wear, and they would all divide up into their social ranks, as Romans tended to do. And they would observe the gladiator matches, and in all likelihood, there wasn't a whole lot of hollering. And so, we have a lot of dramatic readings. I have 3 minutes in order to read them. They include Mediocrity's remarkable expulsion of Latin, shall we say. And so we begin with, I have to clear my throat for this one. Tua flatulentia me tantum fortiorem reddit. Not bad, I think. In response, Gaius begins to slowly lose consciousness. Someone may have poisoned his water before the game. Very much a kind of a nod to Gladiator there. They're trying to take you out with the whole behind the scenes poisoning. That's the story he's going with for performing so poorly. Bahasa, meanwhile, speaking of poor performances in the last 2 rounds, curses as Mediocrities passes by him. Oh, Jupiter! Your strength is fading. Let not the manifestations of Mars overtake you. And then Mediocrities tosses in some now common competitive flatulence. Oh no, you're commenting that competitive flatulence will be the name of your new cover band. I'd buy that ticket. I'd go to see competitive flatulence. I think that would rock. That's the kind of band where they have like chicken wire in front of the stage because something's going to get thrown at them. It's like a very SLC punk situation. Little nod to Matthew Lillard there. All right, Maskin says, go, Gadget, Vorpal wheels of spinning kneecapping. If you roll a 20, I'll let you cut somebody's head off. But you have to do it in the next round. And speaking of the next round, we're a minute away. And this is going to be round 2 of lap 8. And here we go. Bassett's ready. Sadly, not a 20. Not a 20. But, not so sadly. I don't encourage PvP. I don't shy from it, though. I'll give you a little factoid about that. At this point, it's less AMA and more just say anything. And I'm roaming around where the stream of consciousness that flows lively across the Circus Maximus takes us. Doug, mediocrities. See what I'm saying? It's yes, thank you, Maskin. PvP is bad. The gods, they are fickle. It's like Maskin was saying about that Wheel of Fortune. You know, you go from 20 to 4. All right. So Maskin, I am a little confused there. I thought your race roll was a 15. I'm pretty sure it was a 15. See a 17, but I also see a 15. And I also see a 16 from 1C99. Good job there. Very good. And driver, still with the steady 13s. That was no. That was the head cut off. All right. So yes, to be clear, I meant that if you just got a 20 on your race roll, that you could cut somebody's head off.
Oh.
Let's see here. I know every point counts. It's tough being a ref sometimes. But that kind of relates to my story about PvP. So, one of the first DCC games that Gina and I played in was a pretty strict playthrough of Temple of Elemental Evil and Village of Homeland. And by strict playthrough, I mean that the game master, the judge, was not using the adaptation that Goodman Games was using. They were using the old 1970s printing of the modules. And when we got into the Temple of Elemental Evil, we were still using DCC mechanics. And we had been given a weapon that if you rolled a 12, I think it was some random attack roll number. But if you rolled it, then you would strike your comrade by accident, right? So sure enough, I was the one wielding that thing. I rolled a 12. I tagged my comrade, the other warrior in the party. And, you know, no harm, no foul. He took like 7 hit points of damage. We were level 3 or so by that time. It wasn't all that bad. Well, the next round, that guy decides to attack me back. Not the whole like, oh, you're under the curse of Yonogu. I forgive you, brother. But rather, he's just like, oh, it's going to be like that, huh? Hound's blood. And he takes a swing at me. Well, not only does he hit me, this guy adds luck to the damage to hit me to bring me as close as possible to 0. He kills me. He knocks me out. They roll my body. I'm still alive. But my wife, who was also playing a romantic interest in the game, turns to that other player character, not obviously in person, but turns her character to the other character and says, for what you did, I will kill you. Right? So there's kind of silence in the Discord at this point. And we move along. I'm fine. My character gets healed up and so on and so forth. And to be fair, she did ask this other character, in character, like, do you apologize for what you did? And his character was like, nope, not apologizing for what I did to Hound's Blood. Well, about 3 adventures later, we're talking like 4-hour sessions. We were playing for a long time back then, but like 3-4 hour sessions later, that character, that warrior got downed. And my wife's character, rather than rolling the body, like plunged a dagger into his heart and was just like, I told you I'd kill you. Yeah. Interesting experience. Made for a great story. And to be fair, he was warned. That campaign didn't last long afterwards. Yes, boss, it was indeed brutal. Brutal, much like this chariot racing match. Now, I will not do a score tally quite yet. And Maskin, of course, no problem. Confusion was on my end. Gaius, you're absolutely right. This race isn't over yet. I'm about to drop what lap it is. It is going to be lap 5, round 1 of lap 5. And here we go. Let's see it, folks. Let's get some rolls out there. Yes, exactly, Gaius. The best revenge is served cold, as the Klingons say. I really liked the Klingons. I have to say, they were great people. I never went so far as to like actually learn Klingon, though the valedictorian of my senior class did know Klingon, and he was a friend of mine. And I think that there was some relation there, between his knowledge of Klingon and his academic success. Some really nice rolls here. And, of course, I'm not looking in your direction, mediocrities. That was pretty heartbreaking. Yeah, I know. You've rolled twice. You've rolled a fumble twice. And, next time we do this, I'm coming up with a fumble table. We're doing a critical table and a fumble table because we've had 2 1s and we've had 3 20s. And this is good stuff. And I see you're still in this. I see 9i, or 1C at 9i, excuse me, still in this sucker. And Gaius struggling. We're going to... The dice hate you. Well, they have not been a fan since the opening, which was so strong. It was dramatically strong. It was numerically strong. But now you stand at 83. Maskin, you stand at a 95. Doug, you stand at a 78. Bahasa, you're standing at a 113? Am I reading that right? Excel, oh my lord, 94 for 1C9I. So, in essence, it's still anybody's game, but we have some clear leaders here. Driver, you're at a 68. And so we have 95 and 94. That's Maskin and 1C9I, neck and neck. Bahasa at an incredible 113. Doug G, 78 with mediocrities. And then Gaius at 83. It feels like a type. That's what I thought when I saw this thing. Absolutely. I feel like I'm going to have to manually tally it on a piece of notepad paper or something because I'm just not trusting the numbers here, folks. Digitally speaking. All right, so we're coming to the end of this thing. It is 10:52 a.m. The next roll is going to be at 10:55 a.m. That's going to be the second round of the 5th lap. And so I would ask, as in the remaining 3 minutes, any questions from the crowd besides how do I roll better, which is, if we think about it, there's currently a variance of about 57 points because there's a world in which Bahasa rolls 1s for the next 3 rounds, and then somebody, and I'm looking even in the direction of mediocrities, rolls high enough to get the lead. But it's iffy. It's tense. I don't know. It's really tense here, folks, for me. Not saying my hands are sweating. I'm not that kind of guy. Never been one for moist palms. But I am on the edge of my seat, literally. Literally on this one. I'm going to drink some water. Because unlike Gaius's chariot, my mouth is dry. Gaius starts to vomit. Gaius, we're going to need to get you a cleric at the end of this thing. Because
Is he okay?
you've exhibited... Yeah, Gina's like, is he all right? I don't know. Because he's saying that he's starting to vomit. The poison is, in fact, kicking in. He is a victim of intrigue and treachery. I have to say, I kind of want to take the story of Gaius Apuleius Diocles and put it into some content. Because he's a heroic competitor. He's going through a lot. He's got a big story. You get the feeling that there's like a rich backstory. There's a woman on the side. Maybe she's his wife. Maybe she's not. Maybe there's a kid in the picture. And the emperor hates him. And I know I'm just channeling Gladiator at this point. But I really do think Gaius Apuleius Diocles is something I get to push to my wife. Unlike that line of Latin. Bahasa, you're one of the smartest people I know. That said, I don't know if that Latin actually came from your own brain. That feels very Google Translate Latin to me. But I will read as best as I can. Hodie in certam minibus me valde fortunatus fui, quod significant hac note computatrum mem fortasse moraturum esse. Words that I doubt were... Yeah, that was Latin. That Gina asked if that was Latin. That was certainly Latin. I'm thinking it was Google Translate Latin. I don't think computatrum was used all that widely in the Roman Empire, but I could be wrong. You know, Bahasa gives us the translation, which is I have been very fortunate in my roles today, which means tonight my PC might die. You might die because you're going into the mouth of Mentius, and my wife, given that this is her first book, has zero sense of balancing encounters. And B, I don't care about balanced encounters. That's not exactly true in the D&D sense. D&D fans out there, I got your back. But DCC, it's anybody's game. Watch your neck. Same thing with OSE, guys. Maskin is looking around his naked body for a place to hide the vial he's been hiding in his palm since the entrance to the stadium. And he only has the one pocket. Oh, no. Oh, no, indeed. We're a little bit late, but here you go. Round 2 of lap 5. Doug says, did I mention that mediocrity knows a guy in the Senate? How do I leverage that? How do you leverage that? You know, it's interesting. We've been thinking a lot about how to bring backstory and backstory narrative into game mechanic effects. And almost be able to play as a PC a card from your backstory that affects dramatic scene. As we explore D&D 5e, and they have conditions, and if we look at the dice chain in DCC, there's some great opportunity, I think, to have us use game mechanics to influence those things and have those game mechanics tied to backstory, kind of like an evolved sense of inspiration. Anyway, I need to stop rambling and look at some of these roles because Driver, you're showing up strong. Gaius feels stabbed in the back. Maskin, I thought we were brothers in the Circus Maximus. We're all brothers here, but you know family. Come on, guys. Mediocrities. This is what I'm saying, Doug. You keep rolling those high numbers. It's anybody's game here. Maskin, you got a 13. 1C, 9I, got 4. And Gaius, looking at a 14. Again, a favorite number of mine. Why is it a favorite number? It's the number of temperance in the tarot. An important principle in life I have learned. Learned the hard way on that one. Just kidding. I didn't have all that Callaway youth, people. Honestly. I'm an open book, but it's a slow read. All right, Maskin. I'm literally toasting you because you just broke triple digits. You're up there with Bahasa. Bahasa, you're up at 1, 2, 3. As in 1, 2, 3, I got it done. 1, 2, 3, this thing is over. But we'll see. You know, because we still got lap 6. And as anybody who has seen Ben-Hur knows, and that's indeed the number of man. Darn right. Adding it up. Bahasa is giving a nod to the addition of 1 and 4 equaling 5 because he lives somewhat in my brain, at least the section that belongs to Descent of the Ancient Fane, which has a lot of numerology in it. And I think that if you talk to any of the playtesters, of which he is a member, and you say to them 3, 5, 7, they'll know exactly what you're talking about and know that it leads to great things. I will leave it at that. Meanwhile, Maskin, to get back to the action, he starts experiencing severe shakes in his ramshackle wagon cart. I don't know, man. Those could be the trembles of an incipient victory coming. Yes, 23 and 42 are the numbers, and 7 is the one. Whenever I meet somebody and I say that 42 is the meaning of life, and they get it, I know they're good people. I just know. Yes, 357 also has Masonic connections. The reason why is that, and I'm looking at the clock here, we're a minute away, I'll keep it quick. Masonic magic, Masonic philosophies and principles tie back to Solomonic magic, which has its roots in the Kabbalah. And that's my 1-minute version of that. And I will elaborate further after ding, ding, ding. Round 1 of lap 6. Everybody get your rolls in. When I created this account for Roll20 and I named it Marcus Aurelius, and I put a picture of Marcus Aurelius there, it was because I really loved Marcus Aurelius. Not that I don't now, I still do. That said, I didn't know one day I would be overseeing a chariot race in the Circus Maximus. Kind of worked out. That's the funny thing about life. Gaius knows what I'm talking about. Gaius, you rolled double digits, and they only keep getting higher towards the end. You, too, just broke triple digits. You're at 114 now. Maskin, you were right about the rumbling chariot. Should have taken that thing to the shop. Driver, you are coming out of literally nowhere. You are 3 rounds behind everybody, but you're at 105. I feel like everybody deserves a bit of a no prize here because you're all doing so well. I'll talk to Gina about that. I know that she'll certainly give you a special treat in the books that she sends you guys. Because you will, as they say, you will be remembered. The gods will remember this day, and so will Gina Marie Funk. And she will give you something cool. And my heart goes out to you. 1C9I. That one. You got Doug's disease. you got a case of the mediocrities. But Doug, let's see, how did you do? You kind of slipped your roll in there? Oh, there you are. Yeah. True to form, my friend. All right. Folks, I'm excited for this because we are now on the last lap, and we're going to roll it at 11:05 a.m. And where it stands right now, I feel like somebody's pulled ahead. I do. I think you all did great, and I really want to see who, between Maskin and Gaius, wins that photo finish. I want to see if Driver wins that photo finish, because Driver, you're only 9 points away from Gaius and Maskin. But Bahasa, you're up with an astonishing 133. The gods favor you. This is not an inside job. I don't know a guy in the Senate to have made this happen, but yeah, you did well. So, where are we right now? Maskin's wheels are breaking off. He's riding on one wheel as he leans off the side to shift the weight to one side to ride the wheel. I would give you a mighty deed roll if I were judging this thing. And he says, "Don't worry, I'm coming around the corner. Here I come." Come around the Circus Maximus. I'd imagine if this has actually happened, Maskin, whatever relatives you have are in the stands crying and just praying to Hades that you do not die, that he does not take you. Bahasa hopes that he does not jinx anything, but he whispers for St. Veronica and St. Julius. Never too late or too early for St. Veronica and good old Julius to show up and help you out. They are transcending time. Gaius is down on his knees in the chariot. The crowd begins to cry out, could this be the end of the greatest charioteer of all time? Possibly the richest athlete of all time. Again, we're getting more bits of the backstory. Richest athlete of all time. He feels very X-Crawl to me. Gaius Apuleius Diocles does. Meanwhile, mediocrities will no longer spare the horses. Fuck those horses, mediocrities. What have they done for you except for give you 2 1s, 2 4s? I mean, you got a 20, but I put that on you and the gods. It was you and the gods that got that roll. So yeah, back to Kabbalism for a moment. So a lot of the ancient world, and I'm talking Circus Maximus time to a little bit earlier, was obsessed with numerology. And by the time that a lot of it was being codified in the 1st century AD, they were giving nods to certain traditions like the Amorite builders and whatnot. And a lot of, and Kabbalism as well, of course, which has a strong numerological background. And so all of that kind of translated into a esoteric tradition that informed Freemasonry, informed later the OTO, alchemy. There's that lineage there in Western European thought. What's interesting, and this is, of course, something that I bring into Descent of the Ancient Fane, is it has a strong connection with summoning spirits. Demon comes from that Greek term daemon, which just meant spirit. And so the notion of using these guiding mystical principles and these patterns by which the world is governed to summon spirits to work on your behalf is very much core to Western magical belief. Oh, and guys, you said that Gaius Apuleius Diocles has a wiki entry that lists that it's Gaius Apuleius Diocles parentheses badass. He was badass. Oh, you probably are being absolutely sincere. And I was saying that you made this wiki. No, that's interesting. Okay, so we all learned something today. I learned about Gaius Apuleius Diocles, and I think Gina learned that he needs to be in Mentius too. Let's see. It's time, guys. Yes, Diogenes definitely has one. I was serious about Diogenes. He's a part of my life. Round 2, lap 6. The finale. Driver, Maskin, Gaius, chariots falling apart, poisoning happening. Driver silently, stoically, if you will, going about this. Bahasa very much in the lead. I think, Bahasa, you're getting a physical trophy and 3 signed books signed by the author. Doug. My God. I'm going to have to tell Doyle about this and be like, don't feel bad, Doyle. There's this guy now named Doug Good. Maskin, dang. Give you wind indeed. And Gaius, Mike, you did a phenomenal job. 7 being the number of the chariot in the tarot, I think. If I'm wrong about that, then feel free to spam the chat with my hubris. Driver with a 9. Driver, I have to say, again, you came in late to this thing, but you stuck with it the entire way. You broke triple digits. You were up there with the top 3 horses. I think you did a phenomenal job. And speaking of IC91, you too did a phenomenal job, coming out of the slump. Doug ending up with a 101. Bahasa knowing one should never rest on his laurels, spurring the horses on as he thrashed the ring. Those horses are out of steam, my friend. Not the 111 that we saw from Mediocrities, but still a single digit. And Gaius' chariot slows, strikes the wall. His dead body rolls out upon the sand. The crowd laments his death and betrayal. And so, as Bahasa cheers for victory and attains that victory, there's no dry eye in the Circus Maximus today. For mighty Casey of his generation, Gaius Apuleius Diocles has passed. He's gone into the underworld. May Asphodel smile upon him with its gray and heatless light. I know. Well, I like to think that we all won. I will have a discussion, my wife and I, about getting you all prizes for competing, because I think everybody did a remarkable job of making this interesting, sticking with it to the very end, and really showing up in terms of having a good time, which was what this was all about. And I'm going to now check the backer page because we are launched. And it looks like we have 45 backers. We got 45 others, 45 on the backer train. We got 25 days left on this thing. It just went up to 46. We literally, at the end of this, broke $1,000 in funding, which is a third of the way towards our goal. We are so grateful for all of you guys. Congrats to all of you, really. And I'm serious. If you want to, I'm going to now drop in the chat for the Roll20 our direct contact information. Please stay in touch. Tell us who you are on backer kits so we know who deserves, again, like that additional special something in your packages. And of course, Bahasa, congratulations again, man. Honored to have Gina sign those books for you. And she's going to be picking out a really cool trophy. She knows trophy. Another fun fact, she was a karate champion back in the day. So she misses her trophy. She loves her trophies. And she'll be sending a trophy to you. So yes, the email is in the Roll20 chat. Thank you, guys, a.k.a. Mike, for a really fun time. Gina says thank you as well. I'm so glad you found it to be unique. And I'm so glad it was exciting. And as I say, next time we're going to have fumble tables. We're going to have critical tables. We're going to make this even crazier. But for now, have a great Monday. And we'll see you online. If we can learn how to stop streaming. Yep.
Off. Everything's off.
Yep.